Welcome to Dynasty Depot, where we talk about everything fantasy football from the offensive side to the defensive side, because here at Dynasty Depot, defense matters. And we will get into defense soon, but I'm your host, Andrew, with my co-host, Ryan.
What's up?
Let's jump right into it for this week. There's been some big things that happened this week, and going into my surprises of the week and kind of breaking down the week is Taysom Hill, man. He had his game of the year. He has one or two games every year, and this dude, three tutties, 50 receiving yards, and I would like to say that he threw an interception. And yes, I am talking about a tight end. He threw an interception, multiple completions, and ran in for 3 yards. Or for three tutties. So have yourself a day. Oh, also, fun fact, I feel like I've been talking about Taysom Hill my whole entire life, and I was like, this dude is older than Aaron Rodgers. He has to. I have no idea how he's 34. He's still going to be in the league for at least two or three more seasons, and he's still putting up those numbers. Yeah, Taysom Hill is a lock for the future, and for now, I'm going to say it right now, he's a league winner. We're not even
That,
know so serious yet,
I was
but
about to say
that's the way that I'm feeling right now, eh?
that. Hey, you're feeling it. I'm the one drinking. You're not.
I'm also gonna shout out Andrew Van Ginkel. I think I talked about him last year. I love this dude. This dude's an absolute stud. He had two sacks this week, something like 30 points in my fantasy league, and he has 8 sacks in the year, which is two more than his previous record of six in a season. This Vikings defense, along with all the NFC North, including the Bears, even though that my Packers crushed their dreams this week. Uh, all the defenses are great. They're all going to have takeaways. They're all going to have sacks. And yeah, Van Ginkel is just the one on the Vikings this week. So I think you can just rotate the NFC North defenses, which is what I've been doing. So um, those were my big surprises of the week. And this week, Ryan actually gave notes, so I know what he's going to talk about. So if I double it up, I know I'm not going to double up today. So we're going to get into his right now, and one of them just makes me giggle. So I'll let Ryan take it away from here.
Yeah, man. Giggling. Anyway,
Yeah, I
so
giggle.
so I'm gonna get right into it. I have Nico Collins starting out in the first slot for my picks. He looked healthy. I was happy to see him back. Good to see the way that the Texans want to utilize him. He had a 77-yard house call that was unfortunately called back, which stood out to me the most.
It's the
Aside,
first play of the game too.
yeah, I
It
Hey,
was
I would have loved
crazy.
to see that as a CJ Stroud manager. Would have loved to see that go through. Fortunately, did not. So, but aside
Because
from
Anthony
that,
Richardson's better than CJ Stroud, but
we'll get to that. Other than that, that callback pass, he went 4 for 7 for targets and then 54 yards with no touchdowns. It was just good to see the Houston Texans get him involved. I was surprised at the rate that they did get him involved. And hopefully for any Nico Collins managers, you start to see that production increase since he's been back after missing, I believe it was like a month, yeah,
yeah.
maybe a little bit over. And then I'm not ready to admit defeat yet, but have to give recognition where recognition is due. Anthony
This is
Richardson.
why I had to put on the suit, man.
And Anthony Richardson, he went 20 for 30 at passing, which hit the magic number again. Well, a little bit over, but that was for 66%. 272 yards passing and one touchdown through the air, two touchdowns on the ground, and he 10 rushes for 32 yards. He came back this week with something to prove. Hold on, came back with something to prove. It was cool to see, but I think this was another one of those Anthony Richardson games where he shows out, gets everyone roped right back in, and then just flatlines for the next X amount of games. But he had a great week, and you have to celebrate success. With that said, Andrew.
So, yes, he had a 66% passing average. However, his adjusted passer rate was 88%, which takes out his receivers dropping the ball every other drive.
Bo Nix went for
So,
90%.
Bo Nix did. I love Bo Nix. This is not a conversation about Bo Nix.
I'm
And
trying to get it. Let me
Anthony
get
Richardson was
it.
the top four when it comes to percentage. I love Bo Nix. I said it last
One
week.
week.
I'm not going to sit here and say that Bo Nix isn't there.
Like again, I will default to my overall take on Anthony Richardson. I don't think he's a guy that's going to just sit and get 0 points every week. I do think he's inconsistent, and if you look back, I've said that. He is going to have those blowout games, and that's what gets everyone right back on the train. But as a player, of course, you want to see him progress and do more. Not trying to wish negative on anyone, but I don't think he is a consistent player, and we will see how that plays out throughout the weeks.
Well, my take still stands that he's a league winner. So that being said, let's get out of surprises of the week. It was actually, let's stay here. It was a fun week. It was a fun week in the NFL. Had a lot of close games, and you still had the Lions playing around with other teams like they're prey for fun at a zoo. So the Lions are definitely a scary team. I don't think they're going to go far, but in terms of fantasy football, they are. I mean, just pick up a line and they're going to score you points, both on defensive and offensive. And I'm actually going to be talking about one of the defensemen here in a little bit. But that being said, let's jump into our rookie segment. I love these rookies. Two of these rookies we have talked, and we've talked about all three of them. I actually have one of these rookies in my overall defensive segment, so I'm excited to see what you have to say about it, and I'd rather you talk to about it than I do, but I would definitely touch on him a little bit more. But take the floor, Ryan.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're getting to week 12 this week. Right now, you're seeing um, week 11 either way. You're starting to
Week
see,
12.
yeah, you're starting to see the cream kind of rise to the top. The guys who are going to be consistent, who have been consistent throughout the year, are still providing and producing. And with that said, we start with the tight end that I've been really, really high on since draft day. That is going to be Brock Bowers. He went 13 for 16 on receptions for 120 yards and one touchdown. He's truly a bright spot in that Raiders offense that is otherwise lackluster. Um, just excited to see the way he plays and the way he progresses throughout his career. He is definitely going to be tight end one, I think, in the future. And that future isn't far away. So Brock Bowers is my offensive feature for the week. I actually came this week with two defensive guys, so I had to switch it up a
Hell yeah.
little.
Hold on. With
With
Brock
three.
Bowers, I think he's already a tight end one. I'm not gonna
No, 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 I'm
lie.
talking about in the league.
I know. I'm saying I think that you can make the argument that he's a tight end one right now because tight ends this year specifically have underperformed. So a rookie that's overperforming can make the argument to be a strong tight end one here in the late stages of fantasy football.
I
Sorry, I
can't,
just wanted to put that out there.
I can't argue that. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
Um, Pivoting, I'm just going to touch on this guy real quick, Jared Verse. He had one solo and four assists this last week. He's proven to be a dominant force on that defensive line. Um, really, I think I'm very high on the Rams defense right now with all their rookies and moving forward. Really like what they have going on there. Jared Verse is a beast. Oh, excuse me. And then for my last rookie of the week, I have Cam Kitchens. I touched up on him 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, pause. Um, but he had six solos this last week and two assists and one interception. I believe he was defensive player of the week. Um, Look, man, Kitchens is solidifying his spot, if it not solidified already. He's looking like a safety you want on your roster. And it's fun to see him play. And it's fun to see that Rams defense play with all their young talent. Um, and with that, I will let Andrew get right into the defensive segment, leading off at the Rams.
Yeah. So I have my whole top 30 prospect that we did. We did some mock drafts, and this was my paper I had for my top 30 with more in-depth analysis on my computer. And there was two people on here, And funny enough, I had the other one, but I want to talk about Jared Verse, but I also want to talk about Brandon Fisk. And I think both of them are absolutely amazing defensive linemen, both rookies. And one of them now have always had a 20-point game. If Brandon Fisk has a 20-point game, Jared Verse has a quiet day. Jared Verse has a 20-point game, Brandon Fisk has a quiet game. And it goes hand in hand. It's actually really funny to watch. But both of them are absolute beasts, and Brandon Fisk has actually made my top 10 list of rookies going into this draft. Not Jared Verse, but as the season goes on, I am getting higher and higher on Jared Verse. I was still high on him. He didn't make my top 30. He did make my top 50. We're talking about fantasy football here. Top 50 is basically non-existent in most leagues. But Jared Verse and Brandon Fisk are both absolute dogs, and they've been fun to watch. This Rams team has been a very fun team to watch, especially since they've been dealing with injuries. They have been a team that's always been in it, but they might just miss the playoffs this year with how stacked the NFC is. So that's something to think about going into the late one is they might be trying to play some of their younger guys to try to save their veterans for either trade or next year as the year goes on if they get eliminated from playoff contention. Which right now doesn't look like that's the case, but definitely when you start talking about our playoffs, they can definitely be a factor that they might not be playing some of their guys. So Brandon Fisk and Jared Verse are raised in stock value, in my opinion, because they're just going to see the field more and more. That being said, those are some defensive linemen. I also want to talk about some DBs. I love talking about DBs. I've said it multiple times. I say it pretty much every episode that I love my safeties and I love my slots for my DBs. And I want to talk about two today. One actually plays the outside. I've mentioned him before, but he's just an absolute dog. I don't know how he keeps scoring points, but Renardo Green on the San Francisco 49ers is a dog. He gets the tackles, he gets targets. I honestly don't know how he gets targets, but he gets targets, and I love it. I see him get targets, and I'm like, man, that dude just got another target. It was great. But like he just keeps scoring, and he usually gets an interception every other game, and I absolutely love it. And then Brian Branch, as much as I hate him for headhunting against the Packers, I don't care what people say. He was headhunting. That's why he got kicked out of the game. Brian Branch is an absolute dog, and I think that's something on PFF. Take that how you will with PFF gradings. He is one of the best defensive backs in the league when targeted, which means that he gets his pass defense, which is points on your fantasy team. So I'll make that very clear that Brian Branch is a league winner in every league possible when it comes to filling your DB spots. And that's what I had for the defensive segment. I'm not sure if Ryan has anything to dig into it. Bless you.
Oh man, no, you just got me fired up with those takes. No, I didn't have anything defensively. I covered two guys in the rookie segment. I wanted to give some more space. I didn't want to inundate this whole episode with all defense.
Nice. Well, we sit in a weird time right now where we're going to be introducing another new segment. Start sit. It's past majority of people's trade deadline. So we wanted to change the segment up instead of keep trade fleece or something like trade for targets, trade away targets. You're going to do start sit, make sure everyone has the perfect lineup going into this week. And the way I want to approach this is we will obviously compare these two players against each other, but talk about their upside for this week and their downside for this week in case these aren't the situations that you have. And if you have one of these players, give you a little bit of food for thought about if you want to start these players or not. That also being said, week 12 is the highest rate of bye weeks that happen in this league. We have 6 teams out of 32 that have bye weeks this week, with two top 10 offenses in Buffalo and Cincinnati. And you also have the Falcons, Jags, Saints, and Jets. All three minus the Jets have fantasy value. Jets, honestly, I'd stay away. I was gonna do this as my oh so serious. The only person on the Jets that I think, and it's not my oh so serious, so I'm gonna say it now. This was the runner-up. Was I think Devontae Adams is gonna try to bail Aaron Rodgers out, and I would expect high fantasy value from Devontae Adams going forward. However, the Jets are basically irrelevant. Brees Hall had a good game. I guess you can talk about Brees Hall and Devontae Adams as the only two players on that team that I would invest any sort of in and try to keep them in my active roster to win me a league. But I do not trust that Jets offense at all, especially right now. But Falcons have some high players. Jags have some high players. Saints have some high players. Buffalo and Cincinnati, basically their whole offense is reliable. That being said, let's start versus sit. Ryan, I'm going to let you go first. We're going to just do offense today with a new segment like we always do. Is Brock Purdy versus Jordan Love. And I like this one too because they play each other this week. So give me your takes on this. Brock Purdy versus Jordan Love. Who are you starting? Who are you sitting and why?
So I like what you put out there. Um, I'm honestly going to go with Jordan Love. I think he has a bigger boom potential, quite frankly, with this matchup. I'm scared of the Packers defense if I'm Brock Purdy. Yes, I mean it's the Niners offense. They have weapons everywhere, but the Packers have a defense that I don't want to play against. You have solid linebackers. Your DBs are good, and I just don't think that plays well overall for Brock Purdy. Jawan Jennings is coming along over the last couple of weeks. That's good to see. You have Ricky Pearsall, Devo Samuel in there. And you have C-Mac back, and I think that's a combination for high potency of an offense. But I don't know how that matchup would look against the Packers right now. Not saying they're what was it the greatest defense to ever touch the field, but
They're definitely not.
I know, I know. But it's not an offense and defensive matchup that I want to play into right now. If I'm a Brock Purdy manager and I had to pick between the two, so I'm taking Jordan Love.
Cool. So this is a rematch divisional game last year. Jordan Love had a good game. Brock Purdy had a good game. This year the Niners have been kind of flat, whether that's due to injuries or not. Uh, I think I'm taking J-Lo strictly on the fact that he's a gunslinger and Brock Purdy's a system QB. I think Brock Purdy's gonna get consistent points. Consistent points like he always does. He's going to sit in that 16-point range. I don't see Jordan Love scoring less than Brock Purdy. So when I'm looking at Jordan Love's floor for this game, he's either going to come out slinging it with play action with Josh Jacobs, which I think is going to run great. And if we get down early, J-Lo is slinging this ball. And he's going to be the majority point scorer on this team with how we split it up between wide receivers. So I'm taking Jordan Love in this one. Both defenses, honestly, are the same in my head. They're both good defenses. I wouldn't put them in the elite tier this season, but both are solid defenses. So I think we're talking about strictly how they're going to do it with C-Mac back for the Niners. I see Brock Purdy's value go down with how much they can rely on C-Mac in the run game now. So I agree with you. I think Jordan Love over Brock Purdy this year or this week. And yeah, I mean we'll just go right into the next one is running backs. So I'm looking at James Conner. It's Arizona at Seattle versus Aaron Jones, Minnesota at Chicago. So both of these are playing away. What's your take?
I'll pick that up. I'm going James Conner. I like the matchup versus Seattle. I don't think that's in Seattle. But I still like how with the Cardinals offense right now. You have Kyler Murray being a dynamic player that he always is. You have Marvin Jones who's developing into a good receiver right now. I wouldn't say he's great. I wouldn't say he's phenomenal, but he's developing into a good receiver. Excited to see where he goes in the future. And I like how that plays for James Conner. knowing that Seattle was going to have to worry about every other aspects of that offense other than him. With Aaron Jones at Chicago, um, I mean, how has Darnold? How's he been playing in the last couple weeks? I haven't been watching a lot of Viking games
Darnold's been playing fine. He has the I mean
in the last couple weeks.
the
'Cause
Vikings have been doing pretty well for themselves.
yeah.
Looking it up right now, they just won 23 to 13 at Tennessee was their last game.
All right, who did they play before Tennessee?
Dude, I don't like hold on. I don't like NFL.com. I got ESPN on my phone. It's so much easier to navigate. So before Tennessee, oh come on. So they had the Jags, which they won 12 to 7. The Colts, they won 21 to 13. Last week, Darnold had 20 for 32, 246 yards, and two touchdowns. Against the Jags, which seemed like a fluke game,
Oh,
is 241 yards and three interceptions against the Jags.
yeah, I'm just gonna stick with James Conner. I just trust that more. I don't think Aaron Jones. He hasn't really had that heck of a year. Um, Not saying that he can't get it done against Chicago, but I just don't think they've been utilizing him to the extent that we've seen previous years when he was at Green Bay. I mean, I may be wrong in that take. I'm not watching a lot of Viking games, if I'm being honest with y'all. Um, but just looking at that as face value as I can right now, I just like that matchup with James Conner.
So I agree with you. So I'm gonna say that I'm gonna take Aaron Jones over James Conner. And there's one key piece of information that I'm doing this on, right? Is Aaron Jones, yes, I agree with you, has had a lackluster season. However, when the Vikings have played divisional rivals, Aaron Jones has popped off. Aaron Jones knows how to play against the NFC North, has grown up in the NFC North, and outperforms his averages in NFC North matchups. So when he played Green Bay, he had 22 carries for 93 yards. He had some receiving too. He had four receptions for 46 yards, so almost 150 yards from scrimmage against the Packers. And then against the Lions, elite defense like we just talked about, he had 93 yards and one touchdown on the ground. And then in the air, did he have anything? He had three receptions for 23 yards. So another 130 yards reception or total yards and one tutty. I'm taking Aaron Jones strictly because it's a divisional matchup against Chicago. In Chicago, he hates the Bears. He still has that Packer blood in him. And I expect Aaron Jones to have a breakout game this year or this week against James Conner or against the Bears compared to James Conner. I like both of these running backs, honestly, though. I would start both of these running backs over a lot of running backs. Um, but if you're choosing between James Conner and Aaron Jones, I would definitely start Aaron Jones over James Conner, in my opinion.
And that's why you listen to Dynasty Depot. Where else are you getting that value? Where else are you getting that information? Andrew pulling that absolutely out of his ass out of nowhere. Great call.
I wasn't out of my ass. I was prepared. I have it down in my notes.
I was not expecting that at all. That was a great.
Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. That's why we didn't have a shipment last week. But this week, we're back with wide receiver start sit. Cortland Sutton, Denver at Las Vegas versus Ladd McConkey. Chargers at Baltimore at LA in Las Vegas.
It's a lad McConkey. Put some respect on my boy. With that being said, I'm taking Cortland. I like his relationship with Bo Nix, and a main part of that, they have like really good quarterbacks this year behind them, but I just like the relationship that Bo Nix has been developing with Cortland Sutton. And I like the Denver offense right now and the way it's looking. Plus, they're playing the Raiders. The Raiders, I feel like, I mean, you watch the videos, you watch everything. It looks like the wheels are falling off. Mark Davis is not happy with the team at all. I don't think that locker room is playing together. I don't think that team is very cohesive right now. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw that game get out of hand. Um, Again, but on the other hand, although I am taking Cortland Sutton to play the opposite role here, devil's advocate, Lad McConkey. I mean that Chargers offense led by Justin Herbert, it looks solid. They're playing at Baltimore. No, they're
They're
playing
playing
in
LA.
LA. Okay. Ah, I still like my take, but that gives a little bit more to Lad, and he hasn't popped off in a couple weeks either.
He had 123 yards last week. I like
Where have
my
I
take for
been?
this.
What have I been doing?
My take for this is I would take Lad over Cortland for two reasons, and you kind of touched one of them. Is I do feel like the game in Las Vegas can get out of hand for Las Vegas, and Denver has a lot of young receivers that I know Sean Payton wants to see field time. So I don't think Cortland Sutton sees the high snap percentage that he usually does if they go up two or three scores, which I think is a very possible outcome in this game. So I think Cortland Sutton's production will be high in the beginning, but not consistent. Where I can see the Chargers versus Baltimore, the Ravens and Chargers, being a potential shootout like it was last week with Cincinnati. And if that happens, Lad McConkey is his guy, leading receiver on the year, leading receiver in almost every game. And I just think he has a repeat performance, hopefully puts a touchdown on top of those 100 yards this week. And I'm starting Lad McConkey over Cortland Sutton. Um, as designed, both of these are both very good options. But if you're between the two, I like Lad a lot more than I do Cortland Sutton this week.
There you go.
So I don't know if you have anything else to add on top of that.
I mean, they kind of cooked me right there. Kind of cooked
What I
me
do,
right there.
you put on the smoker jacket and it just kind of comes out, right?
Gotta ban the jackets, man. Can never do this again.
He showed up with a jacket on today, and I was
Had
like,
to.
dude,
Had to.
what are you doing? He was like, I'm about to cook you in my Oh So Serious today. And I was like, yeah? I was like, I'm gonna cook you in everything else so that whatever you do during the segment, uh, it's just
Yeah.
negated.
That was redacted information that was never supposed to hit the airways. Andrew signed an NDA, so I don't know how this information's getting out. I paid him $12.9 million.
It was in Bitcoin, so now it's like 16 million, you know?
Dude, Bitcoin just it not like before we started this, it just crossed 95,000. I don't know where it's at right now. We know how much it fluctuates in volatility, but it was at 95,000. So Bitcoin,
Dynasty Depot, where you can get your crypto information. All right.
no, this is
So,
advice disclaimer.
so this is our favorite segment of the week. We have made a lot of fun doing this segment. And I don't know who wants to go first this week. So I am going to text you a number, but I want you, I currently put my number down right now, hands off. My hands are on the enter key, and you're going to guess the number 1 through 7. And if you hit it, you decide who goes first. And then if you don't hit it, I decide who goes first. Very slanted my direction,
Yeah,
but that's
that's
how
a
we're going to do it.
not gonna want to. All right, give me two.
It was 4.
God,
So I will go first because I want to save yours for last. I'm actually very excited about it. And I think it's going to be kind of controversial. I think a lot of people are very high on this guy. Jaden Daniels is not a league winner. I do not think Jaden Daniels is going to pan out this season. I love him as a quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's going to be a bust in the NFL, but I'm saying as a fantasy value, he is still developing. He still needs time. He's had some great games in the beginning of the season against trash teams, but now that he's seeing real opponents, he is playing like an average quarterback, which is not bad at all when you're talking about a rookie quarterback. But he is not anything that's going to win you leagues. He's not going to be scoring those touchdowns. He's not going to be running like he was in the beginning of the year. And I am very excited to see what this dude has for the future. But this dude is not going to win you the Super Bowl this year. This dude's not going to be winning you anything. You need to go out. I'm sure Anthony Richardson's out on the waiver wire. You can go pick up Anthony Richardson to be a league winner. You can go pick up Bo Nix to be a league winner. You can go get all of these other rookie quarterbacks, essentially rookie quarterbacks, to go out and win you the league. CJ Stroud's not going to win it. Jaden Daniels not going to win it. There's so many quarterbacks out there that are just going off. Jaden Daniels is not your guy this year, and that is my oh so serious take of the week.
I think
Brian?
he was going to get very targeted right there with CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson in one take. All right,
Oh,
with
just
that,
catching strays left and right, eh?
I'm getting cooked, getting deep
But that's why I
fried.
let you go first or go last, because apparently this is gonna cook me. That's why you have the gold jacket on, like Will Levis will have in a few years, eh?
All right, guys, time to get serious. Oh, so serious. I'm going to switch from drinking my lovely PBR to some whole milk. Why is that, you ask? You may have sat out a little too long, but that's fine. What I'm drinking is whole milk. And why whole milk? Well, it's a complete package. There's no 2%, there's no skim. It is as close to raw milk as you can get after pasteurization. I'm not a health advisor, so don't quote me. With that being said, it has something along with the wholeness that I like with my take. My take is Cooper DeJong is going to have a breakout game versus the Rams. Why is that, Ryan? Why do you say that? Why do you ask that? What's going on here? Listen to me. Cooper DeJean is locking stuff down. All right. He has the Rams offense coming in. Puka, Cooper, Demarcus Robinson, Kyron Williams, and Matt Stafford at the helm, slinging the rock. All right. You're going to see a lot of passes, I expect. You got Darius Slayton on the edge and Quinshon Mitchell putting guys in seatbelts. All right. Cooper at the nickel.
It's a sword. It's a
It's a
sword.
seatbelt. No. They're getting locked in. It's a seatbelt.
No, that's
It's a
Jair Alexander's celebration, and he said it's a sword, not a seatbelt.
well, everyone else is doing seatbelt. You can't interrupt me in mid take, man.
No, sorry, continue. I just had to. That was fact checking real life, so real time.
Seatbelt. Look, man. I think he's gonna have two picks in the game. I think 5 tackles, 2 picks isn't unrealistic for Cooper this week. The Fantastic Whites are gonna have a great time. I'm excited to see this game. It's gonna be my guy to watch, Cooper DeJean. We'll circle back next week. I'll be dialed, like my boy.
All right, with that, guys, that is Fantasy Dynasty Depot, and we will thank you guys. Hold on. Let me recenter myself. Do you have anything else to say, Ryan?
I'm chilling, bro.
Thank you guys for listening to Dynasty Depot and letting us be part of your day. And go follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Dynasty Depot. We're on YouTube. We are now on Spotify, Dynasty Depot. And go follow our Instagram, our Twitter, all handled just Dynasty Depot. We got the little crates, just like you're seeing under the screen if you're watching on YouTube or anything else. And yeah, guys, appreciate it. Send us any emails that you have for start sits this week, and we will get back to you. And guys, with that, we will catch you in the next one. Peace.